So I am choosing, and it might be a bit of a cheeky one because you know me, I love my let's try and bend the definition of the chatty face titles. I'm choosing the video game 13. Now,
the cell shaded thing.
That's the thing. A lot of people will be like jumping up in arms saying, I had a great story. It was amazing. It was so good. And yeah, it had great gameplay too. But I'm talking specifically about the recent remaster that came out because that was handled so poorly. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the footage of the remaster.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh my god!
They got rid of the cell shading. Like what?
Why would they do that?
They just got rid of it.
I have no idea why you would just look at something and be like, "Oh yes, what are the famous things about this? Oh, cell shading, assassination stuff. Let's get rid of the first one. That one's bugging me a little bit." And instead of the nice sort of like animated comic book cutscenes they used to have in it, they've now got this weird thing where they've tried to recreate it in live action, and it looks utterly gash. It is so bad. The gunplay is terrible, and the only thing that I think that anyone could say as even a slight positive about this remaster is that the very buxom lady who helps you out in the very opening, she's got her assets in a bit more high detail, if you know what I'm saying. That is a very slight thing that I think you could say. It's never too early to be rested. But the thing is, it was handled abysmally. I think it's possibly one of the worst remasters I've ever played. And so therefore, the gameplay negatively affects the story, which was pretty brilliant, even if it did have a very cliffhanger ending. And it also means that it's killed the sequel that was going to be coming out if it did well. So fantastic. Good job, guys. Good job.
Let me tell you guys a little story about a game called Alpha Protocol. It might be too old. See, that's the thing. The reaction that Jules got, it only ever splits the room. Either it's like, what the hell is that? Or it goes, they should have done more with that.
It's a Marmite game.
It is a Marmite game, but it tastes so delicious and yet so horrible at the same time. It's just... Alpha Protocol was Obsidian's take on Mass Effect. It was trying to do like a Mass Effect style RPG, but for spies. And it's brilliant because it's like, you can play like James Bond, you can play like Jason Bourne, you can be like a total mix of stuff and whatever. And you play as this dude called like Michael Thornton, which that might have killed the whole game, to be honest, because it's not Agent Thornton. Just doesn't sound good. But yeah, that whole game's presentation, this idea that you're being interrogated at the beginning, and then it's like fleshing out how you got to that point, and can you defend these cases, these missions that you've been on and everything. But the gameplay, as we're laughing around it, is god-awful. It's just the most least polished thing possible. And plus they applied, because it's an RPG, they applied like dice rolls to the headshots and everything. So even if you were right next to a guy going to shoot them, it would just miss completely, and the whole base is like, fring, like, he's right there. That's the spy, he's right there. And so, yeah, it's a complete mess, but I love the presentation. I love all the dialogue options and stuff. I love all the customization. And it's just, there's not been anything even remotely like it since. There's not been a sequel. There's not been a re-release. Like, just put it on Switch or something. But Obsidian did include it in their like sizzle reel thing. When they got bought by Microsoft, they did like a big old Xbox sizzle reel. Like, hey, these are our properties. And Alpha Protocol was in there. So someone at Obsidian still cares. And, maybe someday it would come back.
It's not that, but it's just a... Sorry, you go, mate.
Sorry, I was going to say, what I love about looking at that game is just finding a screenshot where you can see, like, the aiming reticule, because it's so big, and it's like, how is this spy being employed? Like, he cannot shoot for toffee. Why is this?
Yeah.
Sort of aiming.
Any pistol is a shotgun in that game. Yeah. Just wide straight away.
In basic arms training, it's just like, just aim in the general area. You'll probably, if you fire enough bullets, you'll get somebody at some point.
Somewhere around.
I don't know if you guys saw the crouch animation as well, but it's not a crouch animation. It's just sort of like he's down, but like hunkered over, just sort of like doing like a crab thing, and it's just not like, I don't know. Like I said, I love it. It's really charming. But Nolan North is like an absolute madman in it too. He plays this dude called Stephen Heck, who's like this like insane murderer, spy man who's just like torturing someone when you walk in, because it's like before Far Cry 3, and he's like the crazy dude that you need to be friends with. And just bring it back.
Oh, it's got to be one that I think I've discussed many, many times before, and it's Deadly Premonition. It's too... Oh, that game. So I was working in game when a colleague of mine, he was like, oh, I heard you like horror games, you should play Deadly Premonition. So I looked at the box cover and I read about the plot and stuff. I thought, actually, this looks really cool. So I took it home and I was like playing Condemned like endlessly at this point. So I was like, I need a new horror game to play. Popped that in, and not gonna lie, like the first like 5-10 minutes, I was like, this is pretty good. I like the monsters. Like there was a bit where this woman's like bending backwards and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of creepy. but the gameplay is just so bad. It's so bad, and you can't aim to save your life, and there's so many bugs, and I was just like, I don't think I even got past the first level, and I've always seen like these weird things that happen throughout this game, and I was like so intrigued, and it really caught me with the plot, because I was just like, there's this really cool supernatural plot, and there's this raincoat killer, and like, you know, it's all open world and stuff, but it was just so riddled with bugs. Like I think at one point it was like telling me that I had to walk through this gate, and I just could not go through the gate, so I was just like, oh, I guess I'll never complete it then. But I've seen so many things of like people that were like, oh, it tells you to like drive to a certain area, and then people have like ended up getting lost, or like I think you can run out of petrol as well. You can walk the entire way, and like you have to sleep and eat. And I was just like, oh my god, I'm so glad I never continued with this game. I would have absolutely lost my mind.
You guys should stream it. I'm just saying.
Great.
Yes. I don't know. I would still recommend it, but it is horrific.
I know that's the thing. Like, I think it's like one of those things that like you say it and people are like, no, it's a fantastic game. I'm like, yeah, if you can get through it, but I couldn't. Like, it would not allow me. The game was just like, nah, like you need to go that way, but I'm not going to let you. It was like, okay.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Just cry in the corner.
Is anyone here a Star Trek fan?
No.
Well, this really helps because there's this VR game called Star Trek Bridge Crew, and
oh no,
it's basically like, the only way I can describe it is one of those apps which you got on your iPhone 2 or whichever one it was, the first one that came out, and you got them, and it was like oh yeah, look, I got a drink, I got a can of beer, I'm drinking it, and it's just one of those like titles that it's just absolute crap, and it's just like the controls, for example, like you've got 4 people on the bridge, and then you've got like one of them who's a director who just shouts commands. I'm really sorry, Star Trek fans, but I literally do not know the exact terminology. And then you've got like an engineer, and then the guy that steers the ship, and then the guy that does the missiles and the guns and stuff like that. This is really terrible on me for not knowing Star Trek stuff.
If the gameplay was better, it would have grabbed you.
It would have, yeah, exactly. But the reason why it's got a bloody brilliant story is because, you know, the stories that you make with your friends, I know it sounds so cheesy, but it's so hilarious when you boot it up and go just bugger about with your friends with the controls. Like, you can tell if someone has a PSVR and not using a Vive if they can't do that. They literally, and because on a Vive with the wands, you can do that, and it's so funny. And then when you've got any like controls on like your dashboard thing, you literally just do that. You can't. There's no way of like actually pressing
just
well.
Meat shovels.
It's just that. Yeah, it's so funny. It's hilarious. I wouldn't ever recommend it, to be honest, especially now, because missions are so repetitive, and if you've done one of them, like, it's good for like exactly like the apps. You got it on your phone for like 5 minutes, and then after like, I don't know, about a week, it's sitting there, and you're not going to touch it for, I don't know, like when you go to like clear your Steam library and stuff like that, after about like a good 2 years or so. Because it was just sitting in my Steam library, just installed on there, just like waiting to be played, and I never really did play it really, and then I just got around to uninstalling it.
Would you recommend though one of those drinking apps to pretend that you're drinking your phone? Because I forgot about
love those, man.
Yeah.
Those are so good.
If they brought out a drinking app in Star Trek Bridge Crew,
get the Blue Milk Star Wars version while you're on. Why not?
Yeah, actually, I think we need a new series just called Owsley Explains Star Trek Bad. I would watch every episode, every single one.
While he's
right, you got this guy here. Yeah, he's on the on that like bloody ship and stuff. Yeah, he's pressing dashboards like that, and then fucking Darth Vader comes in and shoots everyone up.
I think that if you added in the fact that you've got like the app with the pint in, so you're drinking that as well, but the best part about it is you've got a ton of burner phones, so that basically as soon as you finish the pint, you put it onto the side, so it just grows and grows and grows. The meta nature of that series would be just perfect.
The Order 1886, which is not fun to play because it's just kind of a generic third-person cover-based shooter, but it has such like a intriguing premise. So, you know, you're back in the Industrial Revolution in London, and you're part of like King Arthur's Knights of the Round Table, but here you're not fighting like silly boys in armor. You're fighting big bad werewolves with big bad electric shotguns, and it should be awesome. Like the story itself is really cool. It's got a lot of like intrigue and espionage, and it ends more or less just as it's getting going with London, I think, or maybe England as a whole, but somewhere coming under like martial law. So like you're locked in, you're kind of like disavowed from your order, the titular order, and you kind of gone rogue essentially. You're going to go around London fighting off a bunch of Lycans, fighting off a bunch of vampires. There's a really cool vampire plot, but the issue is the game makes the same mistake that Aliens Colonial Marines did, where for the most of the game, it says, look, you've got these really cool supernatural monsters to fight. You're part of this cool order that's literally set up to be superhuman and to fight back. Do you want to fight the werewolves, or do you want to fight the silly boys in some armor with guns? And every single time it goes, here's more fellas with guns to fight you like you're playing Call of Duty or Gears of War or something.
Those werewolf fights, it's the same fight twice. Like it's the exact same fight.
Oh my word. Oh. My computer just tried to interject there.
Ready to tell me spyware has kicked in.
Oh my god. Yeah, but you're right. Like the werewolf fight is great the first time, yes. And then it sort of does the same thing over and over again. It's like, oh, cool. That's literally all you've got. Cool. That's awesome. But I think if you just gave it to someone else, gave it to a different developer, but let them play around in that world, you could have a genuinely really good story in there, because the bones of it that are already in that first game are compelling enough, I think, to make a proper series out of it, but no one's going to do it because nobody liked the first one.